In the next few weeks, we would like to support San Bernardino by highlighting the outstanding things about our city. Today's program features Edwin Johnson from CORD's Enrichment Youth Program. Edwin works with at-risk youth.
Hi, CORDS is a program in the city of San Bernardino. This is a free program for the kids, and what we do is we allow them to use industry standard equipment that increases their vocational skills, educational skills, and life skills. And this is a program that is free to all teens in the city of San Bernardino. Currently, we have an event coming up November 14th, Stop the Violence, Hope for the City event. You can find out more information at www.cordseyp.org. And this event is going to be free as well. We're going to have live performances, free food, and education. And we got a lot of people coming out, like politicians and our San Bernardino Police Department. So please attend this event. And for more information about CORD's program, you can go to our website, www.cordseyp.org. Thank you.
This program was underwritten by Center for Spiritual Living Inland Empire. If you would like information about today's program, please contact me, Reverend George, by calling 909-883-7171. That's 909-883-7171.
Exploring science in the sea. Some giant sheets of ice off the coast of Antarctica are disappearing like ice cubes being emptied from a stack of trays in your freezer. The first tray was emptied 2 decades ago. A second followed a few years later. And a third may go by the end of the decade. These trays are parts of the Larsen Ice Shelf. It reaches into the Weddell Sea from a narrow finger of land that extends towards South America. The shelf is an extension of thick layers of ice on the Antarctic continent. The weight of the ice causes it to flow toward the sea. As it reaches the coastline, it pushes far out over the sea. The Larsen Shelf is divided into several parts, labeled with the letters of the alphabet. When explorers first reached Antarctica, each segment covered hundreds or thousands of square miles. Thanks to Earth's warming climate, though, the northernmost segment of the shelf broke apart and drifted away in 1995. Known as Larsen A, it was the smallest segment and had been around for only a few thousand years. Then, in 2002, most of Larsen B disintegrated as well. And a recent study says the remaining part of Larsen B, about 600 square miles of ice, is likely to go by 2020. Larsen C is showing signs of failure as well. There are cracks at the roots near the shoreline, and it's getting a lot thinner. So this massive slab of ice, which may have been around for 150,000 years, could disintegrate within the next few decades. One more ice tray emptied by our changing climate. For the University of Texas Marine Science Institute at Port Aransas, I'm Holly Brawley.
Hey man, what are you doing?
I'm watering my lawn.
Don't you know you can't water your lawn in the middle of the afternoon? Uh-oh, you're in big trouble. Here comes the water police.
Well, what do I do now?
Tune into the Water Zone show on Kcaa Radio Thursday nights at 6 p.m. They'll help you out.
Are you particular about the vitamins and supplements you take? Have you found that the big chain stores simply don't have what you need? Then you should know about the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. You'll find rock-bottom prices on gourmet, top-quality vitamins and mineral supplements at the Vitamin Center. Get 30% off on all supplements and homeopathic products. All, not just selected merchandise. In addition, you'll find 30% off on all cosmetics, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, makeup, hair coloring, and lip gloss. And all tea products are discounted 20%. Why go anywhere else? See for yourself at the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills, or check out the savings and place your order online. VitaminCenterAgoraHills.com. Start saving by getting what you need from the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. And tell a friend that the Vitamin Center ships nationwide. Call 818-707-0005. That's 818-707-0005. The Vitamin Center of Agora Hills.
U&I Auto Truck Parts and Wrecking is loaded with 15 acres of used, salvaged, and rebuilt parts for your car or truck. Sure, you could go to any wrecking yard, but U&I has what it takes. Expertise, high-quality products, and the finest customer service you'll receive anywhere. U&I makes custom drive shafts, furnishes full warranties on all their parts, and keeps up on industry changes. Call 909-888-6841. You'll be impressed by the fast and friendly response from the U&I skilled staff. You can also go to the Contact Us page and request a part. U&I hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 till 5, and Saturday, 8 till 3. U&I Auto Truck Parts and Wrecking is located at 1435 West Rialto Avenue in San Bernardino. Check out the U&I webpage at the letter U, the letter I, autoparts.com, or call 909-888-6841. 909-888-6841.
Southern California's Inland Talk Express is KCAA.
Hey! What the? Honey! The water just stopped in here.
They turned it off because you're wasting water!
What? What are you talking about?
You know!
Because you know it's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, drought. Yeah, it's pretty clear, we're really short on blue. It's time to save it, like we're supposed to do. Some say it's doom, gloom, and all our grass must go. But together we can make it and enjoy our golden state. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, drought.
From the desert to the oceans, to the mountains, to all across America, and back to sunny downtown. Oh, actually, it's not sunny anymore because it's evening, and we're down in our wonderful time zone that we lost an hour in San Bernardino. So welcome, everybody, to the Water Zone Show on KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. I'm Rob Starr, along with today's F Day.
Going
to run out of alphabets for you, Mike. I'd like to welcome as our co-host a fantastic, funny, faultless, and foresightful friend who is fueled and forged by feisty freshman irrigators who are fastidious in their fanatical and fervent behavior toward fragile and frustrated female property managers by formulating fabrications about flooding irrigation problems. Mr., as I call him, Mikeypedia Barron.
Hey, thank you very much, Rob. And, there are a lot of female property managers, but they usually are on top of their game, and they are looking after their customers.
That's right.
And they're also looking at how do we keep our landscapes looking good and saving water at the same time.
Right.
So,
and you tell them just say no
to
they're landscaper guys when they want to charge them a lot of money.
or when they want to take out all that turf, I tell you.
That's right.
So, there was some excitement this week.
A lot of excitement.
Mammoth had 3 feet of snow, I heard.
Hey, and they're opening this weekend.
And the Sierras are getting dusted with snow. We had some rain before.
Well, 2 feet, so it's more than a dust.
Yeah. So hey, it's all good. So we got to keep thinking positively. And of course, as we heard from Felicia Marcus, who's the chair of the State Water Resources Control Board, she said, "Hey, Californians, as a group, are doing a great job of keeping their water use down and achieving the 25% mandated reduction in urban water use."
It's been a great job, except for 4 places.
Uh-oh. Well, I was thinking we could name them, but I know that those water agencies are really trying to get their act together. In fact, if you look at their most recent water reduction accomplishments, they are getting their act together, but it's just taken them longer than others. They just haven't, for whatever reason, gotten their customers as engaged as some other agencies.
But I see a light bulb on top of your head.
Aha.
And I think we have an idea that maybe we can help them.
Well, listen, any person that's associated with any of the agencies that have recently been fined because of their inability to meet their per capita reduction goal, Toro would like to offer you a no obligation, no cost consultation, and we would be happy to share with you some of the training, some of the educational events, symposiums, workshops, even contractor installation programs that have worked with other agencies. So basically, it's a offer for assistance with no obligation. You can just send an email to mike.baron, that's B as in boy, ARON, @toro.com, and we'll be happy to arrange a visit to discuss how we might be able to support your efforts to keep that water reduction goal efforts going. And again, that's mike.baron @toro.com.
Take advantage of it. It's free. You're getting expert advice, and we're here to help, and that's the purpose of the show as well. And you might as well take advantage of it. And this is something that you don't have to pay for, and you're going to get some good advice. We'll come in there and tell you generically about things and show you some different ways.
Answer your questions.
That's right.
Really share with you what some of the activities are that other water agencies are doing. And, you know, it's a combination of consumer engagement, outreach by the water agencies, and practical application of some of the new technologies. And, of course, now that we're in winter, or we've gotten over the summer, I should say, we're in the fall, it's time to turn those clocks down. We don't have to be watering 3 days a week, not even 2 days a week. We can go to 1 day a week. And especially if you have a smart controller, that smart controller will adjust in case we get some higher or maybe higher temperatures than normal. That smart controller will adjust automatically and put down some percentage of more water, but it'll also cut down that water use when the temperatures get cool. And most important, when it rains, your irrigation system will stay off, not only for the day that it rains, but for 48 hours thereafter, because that's the new law in the state of California.
And for those of you at work, you don't have to call your wife on the day it's raining and tell her to go out and she has to try to figure out how to turn the controller off. So that's a good thing to have the smart controls. And we'll talk about smart controllers later in the show and give a little bit more history. But you talked about news. There's a couple things going on tonight in Yorba Linda.
Uh-huh.
You got a call?
We have
more news.
More news.
We have a good engineer, Joe. I wish he can come on air with us, but he's also an announcer here at the station, from what we understand. At least that's what he pays us to say. We don't know. Anyway, the city of Yorba Linda is having a big meeting tonight because they're raising the rates the base rates 150%, which can drive up the yearly payments to like $600 for the basic rate. So they have a big deal going on with another radio station that's there covering the news, which I won't mention. But
Wow.
People are angry. They're hanging. They have these mock-ups of people that they're hanging and.
One of the challenges, at least with some of the water agencies I've had the opportunity to talk to, is there has been a desire in the past to keep water rates low, and they've deferred year after year after year raising any rates. So my question would be, well, when's the last time rates were raised in Yorba Linda? Has it been a few years?
Yeah, don't know that. That's what it's on the agenda tonight, what they're talking about. They're also angry that they gave a raise, I understand, to a public information officer, an extra $45,000 a year. So they're not happy about that, and I don't know all the particulars. I did hear that this morning, and from what I heard, there's tons of people there. I just was listening to that on the way up here. So that's a thing. Also, the city of Los Angeles today at the Gliselle Park, or actually it's going to be this afternoon and tonight, they're having an emergency preparedness meeting and talking about what could happen during this El Nino, and how people can prepare for mudslides, for sewage overflow, all this kind of stuff. And they're telling people to stock up on food. There may be power that's going to be out for a couple of days, so they're going through this whole thing tonight. So
in the middle of the drought, where we're being asked not to water our yards, you're telling me that there's meetings warning people about too much water?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a challenge. You got, on the one hand, you don't have enough water, and on the other hand, you have too much water, which makes me think about what you mentioned the other day at our previous show, and that is when that deluge of El Nino comes down, what percentage of that water can be captured in retention ponds and reservoirs versus what's going to go out
down
to the
here
ocean.
In Southern California, only 10% can be captured. 90% will go to the sewers and to the ocean.
That's
a lot.
That blows me away, because I know that there's been a lot of efforts to increase the amount of groundwater storage, and they've got like Orange County Water District and takes wastewater, treats it to a very high level, and then injects that into the groundwater basin.
Right.
So there's a constant
Well, I know
resupply.
I know agencies, as you and I know, we've talked to. They're trying to take steps to talk about flood controls and diversion of the water, and I'm sure they're preparing all of this stuff as well. But if it's as bad as it's going to be, I don't know how that's going to work out. We do have, and hopefully she's going to be calling in, Miss Ginger Jennings. She's the chief meteorologist for an NBC television station, KMIR, in Palm Springs. And I talked to the studio, and hopefully in between, she's on the air right now between 6 and 7. She does 2 different things.
So what does she do as a meteorologist? Is that somebody that studies meteors and flight through? I mean,
no, she's studied weather. And she's very obviously to be the chief.
Whether the meteors are going to hit the Earth or not. Come on, be more clear.
Not to be confused with a metrologist.
Which is
someone who does calibration of instruments and test equipment. So people do get confused between a metrologist and a meteorologist and other things. But one more. I have one more dumb thing to tell, and then we can go. You got some more.
Okay.
Somebody has a creative solution. Are beavers the answers to Los Angeles prayers? I saw this in the headlines. One woman is hoping to win a $100,000 grant to introduce the North American beaver to LA County watersheds so they can help mitigate the drought and erosion and prevent flash floods that may come up with El Nino.
Oh, because they chew away branches and kind of like build up
dams.
Build up little dams.
They said the plans have been done in Canada and Nevada, so maybe that's something we should apply for and get an extra $100,000.
Now, do the beavers have to apply to the EPA and do an environmental impact study, do you think?
Don't know if they have to belong to a union either.
I mean...
they got to work all around the clock. They got to get paid overtime.
So, well, I've got some good news, and that's to compliment and congratulate the state of California. In the month of September, the amount of residential water in urban communities was reduced by 26%, and that was the 4th straight month that the state of California has exceeded Governor Brown's mandated 25% reduction. So right now, in that June to September period, the reduction has been 28.1%, which I find to be pretty significant, and especially when you consider that those 4 agencies were being asked to reduce in the 30% plus range, that without them achieving their goal, the state still achieved their overall goal. So, that's got to hand it to all of the folks that were involved in making that happen. And the regulators understand that this is a great achievement. In fact, Felicia Marcus was quoted as saying, "This is important and wonderful, and we are thankful for all of the efforts by individuals and agencies. Now, we need to keep it up as best we can, even as we hope for as much rain and snow as we can safely handle. We're in the position of having to prepare for drought and flooding at the same time," which is what you were talking about. But that's what we're faced here in California.
Well, it is remarkable that the whole state pretty much banded together. Not to cut into you, but I just got if you heard that little funny sound a few seconds ago, this is from one of our listeners sending me a text. Giving me clarification, which I like. Must be from a smart woman who sent this to me. Says, the meeting tonight in Yorba Linda is about residents that cut back 30% of their water usage, and now the company is raising their rates to punish them. $300 this year and $600 in 4 years.
Wow. $300?
Yeah, $300.
Well,
the base rate. So thank you for sending that in, our wonderful listener.
And that's the conundrum that water agencies face, isn't it? Because 90% plus of their expenses are fixed costs. So even if they fired everybody,
how about if they cut back on pumping? If they cut back 30% on water, can't they cut back 30% of pumping the water?
Absolutely, but
you still got salaries.
The pumping. Well, it's mostly the capital investment, because the pumping is a variable cost.
Right.
you pump less water, you pay less money. So that's a variable cost, but it's the fixed cost, the repayment of the bonds, keeping up the equipment, whether you're pumping 100% or 70%, you still have to pay the bondholder. So it's a real challenge. It's just a fact of life that, unfortunately, the less you use, the more you have to pay per unit.
Yep.
So,
well, anyway, we got some good guests tonight. We have a gentleman that I met a couple weeks ago at Chino Basin Water District for a water fair that they have. They have their annual water fair in the month of October. And his gentleman's name is Tom Spellman. He's with the Dave Wilson Nursery. And let's get him on the air. Tom, good evening to you.
Hey, good evening, Rob and Mike. How are you today?
Fantastic. You know, I was checking out your website, and I was really impressed to see just how much information directed right to the consumer, the backyard fruit grower, your website provided. I'm excited about hearing what you have to offer.
They're the real deal.
Yeah. So, and I'm not recollecting I think it was what was that website that I went on?
www.davewilson.com.
That's it.
Dave Wilson Nursery, we're the largest grower of fruit and nut trees in the United States.
Amazing.
And about 65 or 70% of our production goes to commercial growers, but the other 35, or 30% goes to homeowners, backyard growers. So we want to put out as much good information as possible on how to be successful as a backyard grower. And, right now it's all about making good use of water. And that's why I was at the event a couple of weeks ago and met Rob. And I think it's really important that, all of us stick together and make sure that all of the concepts of saving water and using water efficiently are well placed and everybody has that information available.
I know that people are complaining about the almond growers and how much water they use. But, I've been doing a little bit more research about that and find that a lot of these farmers, like you just said, are smart. They know how to execute really high-tech irrigation methodologies and actually have cut water use for their growing. And, I'm also thinking maybe we should get somebody down the road from the Almond Board, California Almond Board, just to come in and tell of all the unique things, and maybe Tom, if you know some of those things, you could share that with us. And you said you sell them also for the backyard growers. Is that getting to be a big business? I know people are complaining when they go to the supermarkets about buying vegetables and food and even meat, where they used to pay $2-3 a pound for meat. Now they're paying like $8-9 a pound for meat. The same for vegetables.
Absolutely. And it's not even so much the price, although food is expensive. We know that for a fact. But people are basically not happy with the quality of produce that they're buying in the market. Nuts are one thing: almonds, walnuts, pecans, pistachios. What you can grow is going to be pretty much equal to what you can buy. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to a good peach or a good mandarin or a good tomato, it's very difficult to buy anything close to tree or vine ripened produce in the market. Once you start growing your own, once you eat your first vine ripened tomato and get a chance to grow some Meyer lemons and some navel oranges and a couple of really good peaches, people don't want to go back. They don't want to buy it anymore. They want to grow their own.
I gotta agree with you 100%. Yep. A year ago, we put in a vegetable garden, raised planters, 2 raised planters, and we used some 1/4-inch inline drip tubing to create like 4 rows, and we planted in between each of the 2 lines of drip, and just half a gallon per hour comes out of these little holes in that drip tubing. Oh my gosh, the tomatoes were, you're right. Until you taste your own vine-ripened tomato, you just can't imagine the richness and fullness of that flavor. And there's something about picking your own tomatoes or fruit and then eating it that just, I don't know. It is special. I can see why people get hooked on doing that.
There's a great sense of accomplishment, because they were able to do that themselves, and it's not rocket science. Once people realize that just with a little bit of effort, a little bit of soil preparation, a good humic acid-based organic fertilizer and proper mulching, it's easy to grow exceptional quality produce.
Yep, and I notice. I know we've done as a company. We've done a community garden and given away thousands of pounds of food to some charities in locally. And I know my wife. Pretty much every year there's an Orthodox Greek church that's in Anaheim, and the priest is a horticulturist, and he starts all kinds of tomatoes, and so he sells them for profit to make for the church during the festival. I know we go there, and then also Cal State Fullerton has an arboretum that does that, and we go by that. But it's wonderful. We have those. We have peaches. We have avocados. We had grapes. We had strawberries. But I see more and more people starting to build little raised vegetable planters, and especially now with the drip. I mean, that's a big deal. So,
they're very, very successful. You know, a raised bed planting, in my opinion, is the only way to go. I mean, you have the ability to change soil conditions to whatever's optimum for the type of plant material that you're growing. You have the ability to create a gopher-proof situation by just using a welded wire screen or a chicken wire screen on the bottom of the raised bed. You have, complete ability of the type of fertilization and the type of irrigation you're using to make, maximum potential out of that. So, it's a wonderful way to supplement, what you would buy at a farmer's market, or what you may, if you're satisfied with the grocery store produce, what you would buy there. But there's so many. I'm still picking tomatoes from vines that I planted back in early March.
Wow. What is there a brand or a type of tomato that does that? Because we had ours finally gave out, and maybe we just didn't fertilize it enough or something.
Well, the two that are still doing well for me are Roma, which is it's kind of that Italian sauce tomato or paste tomato, and
those are the oblong ones, right?
And tacos and salsas and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And the other one that is still cranking out like you can't believe is a cherry variety. It's an orange flesh cherry variety called Sun Gold. And that, to me, is just an incredible tomato. It'll produce right up until the day it freezes.
I know we started with something called an early something or other. I forget, but early was in the name of the tomato plant. But once you start doing it, the toughest thing was just getting those raised planters built. But that's probably because I'm not very handy at doing that. But we're having a lot of fun with that. And I read something on your website that I'd never read before. I found very fascinating. That is this backyard culture for growing fruits. Can you share with us some information about that?
Well, we're big advocates on the concept is that we're promoting is backyard orchard culture, and it's a way for people to grow successive ripening varieties, so you have a little bit of fruit all the time, where a commercial grower would grow one or two main varieties so that they could harvest a lot of fruit at a specific time and take it to market and get their paycheck. But, a backyard grower doesn't have the same expectations as a commercial grower. They don't want a lot of fruit at any one given time. They want a little bit of fruit all the time.
Yeah.
So it's all about using successive ripening varieties. And if you're growing, say some stone fruits, peach, plum, nectarine, apricot, you've got a couple apples or a pear, and you've got some citrus and an avocado, you can pretty much harvest from your yard on a year-round basis.
And
so one of the other very important concepts of backyard orchard culture is intensive planting. You're going to plant the plants on close spacing, maybe even 2 or 3 or 4 plants in the place where a commercial grower would only plant one. You don't need a full-size tree. You want a size-managed tree so that you can do your work from the ground so that it's all easy to manage. So once people choose the varieties that they like and they'll use, and they determine what the maximum height is that they want their trees to get, and they plant intensively, after a couple of years, you've got successive ripening fruit all the time.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
On the almonds and nuts, on those things, how difficult is that to grow? And is any location in California going to be good for that? I mean, like dates.
Yeah,
dates are out in India, but
well, actually, there's some desert growers down there that are experimenting with some of our new almond varieties right now. Yeah. I have a couple growers in Yuma. I have a couple growers down in Coachella Valley that are having a pretty good success. So I think there are some new varieties that will work. But I'll tell you my opinion on that. And I don't want to knock or discourage anybody from growing anything that they like. But, I can go to Trader Joe's 7 days a week and buy almonds and walnuts and pecans and macadamias and cashews and all of those things, and they're every bit as good a quality as what I can grow in my backyard. Mm-hmm. And in a situation like that, I'm more inclined to grow, like we talked about earlier, some of the other things that I can't buy in the grocery store of good quality. Yeah. So I'm all about, fresh citrus and avocados and peaches and nectarines and things like that. That where when I go to the store, I'm discouraged. I can never find good quality stone fruits or palm fruits or tropical, subtropicals. But when it comes to nuts, I can always find good quality nuts in the market. I don't have to grow the tree. I don't have to harvest. I don't have to prune it or feed it or irrigate it. I don't have to shell the nuts or store the nuts. And they're very reasonably priced. I can get them for anywhere from $3.99 to $6 or $7.99 a pound. So
excellent.
I think it's much more effective to grow things that you can't buy of good quality.
Yeah. Could you stick with us a little while? We're going to take a little break and come back and talk a little bit more, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Okay, we're going to take a break here on KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Stick around on the Water Zone with Rob and Mike. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
Were you involved in an auto accident? Do you know where to go for repairs? Are you tired of getting ripped off by high prices and inferior work? Then visit us at Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, located in Riverside at 6411 Industrial Avenue, Suite A. We have an award-winning team of specialists with more than 40 years of auto body work experience. We were also voted #1 in the Inland Empire by MyFox LA. We work with all major insurance companies and use state-of-the-art equipment to get your car back on the road. We work on all makes and models of cars, including RVs. Our auto paint specialist will make sure the job is done right. At Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, your satisfaction isn't just a goal, it's what drives us. We focus on your needs. Call us for a free estimate at 951-637-1365. That's 951-637-1365. Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint.
Are you tired? Are you tired of being tired? Do you hate your job? Do you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and want to jump off into balanced living? Then tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. It's a show about hope and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So there's no CNN, constantly negative news, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk. Instead, you will hear callers ask Dr. Marissa, also known as the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, for advice about love, hate, money, jobs, sex, and what to do next. So join me every Thursday at 7 for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA AM 1050 NBC News Radio. This is Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, signing off until then. Peace in and peace out.
Hi, welcome back to the Water Zone with Mike and Rob on KCAA 1050 AM. And if any callers want to come in, we really would like to hear from you. Our local number is 909-888-5222. And our long distance, if you're outside the 909 area code, is 888-909-1050, 1050. So hopefully you can call in and ask some questions. So, Tom, a couple things. So if I wanted to grow, I love cashews. I don't like the price of cashews in the store. But, I saw a program called How It's Made, and I didn't realize all the work you got to do to get the cashews out. It's for preparation. But how hard is it to do it for a home backyard?
Or with cashews in Southern California?
Or any kind of nuts, I'm just saying, in general.
Well, it can be done. I mean, cashews are pretty much out of the question. It's a very, very tropical plant. Cashews come from equatorial zones.
Yep.
And, if you just stay 32, they freeze.
Yep.
So it's probably not a plant. I've never seen a successful cashew plant in Southern California. But when it comes to almonds and walnuts and pecans, and macadamias actually too are very adaptable to our climate. Mm-hmm. They all do fairly well. Almonds and macadamias are fairly easy to manage trees. Walnuts and pecans are big trees, and
right.
If you're growing a nut crop, you want to take advantage of growing the tree as big as you can to get a maximum yield off the tree. So.
Right.
Anybody that wanted to grow, pecans or walnuts should have a lot of space.
Yep.
And that's, another one of the reasons that I think it's probably more successful just to buy your, pecans and your walnuts and things. You could grow 10 or 12 or maybe even 15 other fruit trees that are size managed in the space where you could grow one walnut tree or one pecan tree.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about this idea of size managed fruit trees. I was reading you basically can dig one hole, dig up one area and actually put 4 different fruit trees in there.
Yeah, as long as they're compatible varieties, they'll work fine. So basically anything that you can graft onto a similar rootstock, you can companion plant. So what most people do is say they want successive ripening peaches.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll put in a variety that ripens in May, one that ripens in June, one that ripens in late June, early July, and then one that ripens in late July, early August. So they're planting 4 trees in the footprint of one commercial tree. And this is something that a farmer would never consider because farmers want maximum yield off their trees. So a farmer's looking for about 400 pounds of peaches off of a single peach tree. But what is a backyard grower going to do with 400 pounds of peaches that all ripen up in 2 weeks?
Go to a farmer's market.
So by multiple planting, 4 trees in the footprint of one, now I can harvest off of that tree for 2.5 or 3 months instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to get probably 40, 50, maybe even 60 pounds of peaches for each variety.
Wow.
So I've got a usable crop for my family that's going to ripen up over an extended period.
And
so that, this makes perfect sense for the homeowner. It makes no sense at all for the commercial grower.
Yeah, but as a consumer, I've always thought, well, I've got to do it the way they do it commercially, and I put this tree, and then I know it's going to get really big, and then I get lazy and I don't bring the ladder out, and so a lot of the fruit, kind of just falls. So
that's the problem, Mike. If people allow a fruit tree to get too big, then they're not going to manage that tree. Nobody's going to climb 20 feet to thin plums or pick plums. It just doesn't make sense. It's not something that people want to do anymore. So by managing that tree down to 8 feet tall, now I can do all my work from the ground.
That's what I
really
like.
If I need to go out and thin, or I need to go out and prune, or I need to go out and harvest, everything is easily done. I can do it all in minutes instead of dragging out equipment. No pole pruners, no ladders. Everything is effectively done from my feet on the ground.
Oh, that's so cool. And you can let your
once people get used to the concept and start to realize that, boy, now I can do what used to take me an hour or 2 hours to do with one tree, I can now work my whole landscape in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So once they realize how easy it is, it just becomes second nature that they want to keep tree size managed.
And your retail nursery can advise you as to these different peaches, the different peach stock that matures at different months of the year. That's something.
No, absolutely. I mean, I work with all of my retail customers in Southern California, so with each individual nursery, depending on where they're at. I have growers in coastal San Diego. I have growers up in the high desert. I have nurseries that I deal with in Los Angeles and San Bernardino and Riverside counties and Orange County. So I'm always recommending not only varieties that are adaptable to the individual microclimates, but varieties that are grafted onto rootstocks that are also adaptable to the geography and the soil types for those areas.
What about...
So, and that's one thing that very few people consider when they buy a fruit tree. If they go to the big box store, it's just a Fuji apple or a July Alberta peach, but they don't pay attention to what root it's grafted onto. And that really is the heartbeat of the tree. If you buy the right variety, grafted onto the wrong rootstock, you're going to have a dead tree in a short period of time. So you want to make sure that you're buying a variety that, you like to eat, you like the fruit, you are accepting the season that fruit ripens, the variety has a good reputation in your area, and the root that it's grafted onto is going to grow well in your geographic area and your soil type.
Is that like, I remember when I was a kid in elementary school, and the school, we all brought money in to buy seeds from, if I remember the correct, it was called Burpee Seeds Company. Does that ring a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you would buy these vegetables, but they'd give you a graph, like a chart, and it would show you what area you live in the country, and would tell you what you can grow and what you should grow there.
Or when you should plant.
When you should plant it.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely. It's really important to make sure that you're getting the right variety and the right root for the area. I mean, that's why we grow varieties like, say, Santa Rosa plum. Well, we grow Santa Rosa plum on 4 or 5 different rootstocks, because one of them is adaptable to the southern, southwestern desert.
Mm-hmm.
One's adaptable to coastal zones. One's adaptable to heavy soil. And one's adaptable to cold climates like Colorado or Boise, Idaho.
So
you can be successful with the variety in a multitude of different locations as long as it's on a route that's adaptable to those locations.
So for a consumer like me, so when you say rootstock, when you use that term, can you kind of translate that for a consumer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Most fruit trees are a combination of 2 different plants. The variety is what's going to give you the fruit, or what we call the cultivar. So that would be Santa Rosa plum, or Fuji apple, or Washington navel orange, or Hass avocado. Those are varieties. Those are fruit varieties.
Oh.
And then when it comes to rootstock, that is a variety of root system that those cultivars are grafted onto.
Oh.
So that is a root that is going to be adaptable to a specific geographic zone or a specific soil type. So, we have a multitude of rootstocks that we're working with that are adaptable to all different zones of the country.
So, one last question I have on this, because I'm already planning in my mind. I'm gonna do one of these backyard.
We know what you're gonna do this weekend.
Well, maybe not this weekend, but soon. Water requirements. Are they well known by the commercial growers, or can you give us any guideline as to like how many gallons of water the plants need, or is it more just looking at the health and the vibrancy of the?
Well, there's so many variables. I mean, you guys have already talked about variability of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, plants are, of course, during the summer they're going to use a lot more water than they will in the fall, and they'll use virtually nothing in the winter if we have a normal amount of rainfall. So, you're irrigating by season and by the needs of the plant. So you pretty much have to look at the plant itself. When is that plant in its vigorous stage of growth? And that's the time when it's going to need the most irrigation. Or when does it have is it ripening its heavy fruit set? This is another time that's going to be, and it's pretty much simultaneous with vigor and the summer season, that's when the plant is going to need the most amount of irrigation. But there's still a lot of variabilities that depend on soil type also. Do you have a sandy soil?
Yeah.
Do you have a heavy clay soil? Are you mulching or are you not mulching? And honestly, I think my personal opinion is anybody who's not mulching their landscape, that is anything in their landscape that's not lawn or hardscape,
Yeah.
if they're not putting down a 2 to 4 inch layer of mulch, my personal opinion is their landscape should be colored rock and a pink flamingo.
And I know there's a lot of different varieties of mulch, but just as long to get something to protect that soil and so
keep it moist, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because I've read and heard all kinds of things about organic farming versus non-organic farming, and some people say, oh yeah, it's wonderful. Some people said it really, you go to the stores and you buy these things for 3 times the price, and it really isn't what it is. What's your opinion? What have you seen in at the markets and things? Are they really, quote, what you would call organic, and how would you describe organic compared to non-organic? I guess it's a lot of questions in one.
Well, organic farmers are limited in the different types of fungicides or pesticides that they can use. It has to be something that is an OMRI registered organic that is listed for them to be used on that type of plant material. But let's look at it this way. If I was a commercial grower of citrus, or a commercial grower of avocados, or a commercial grower of almonds, or any type of tree fruit or nut, the people get this idea that farmers are just out there recklessly spraying with no consideration for the environment or for the end consumers that are going to buy their product. And that's a ridiculous concept. It's very, very expensive to use pesticides and fungicides and any type of chemical applications on trees. And I don't know a single farmer and all the hundreds and hundreds of people that I deal with that uses anything recklessly. Mm-hmm. They're only going to use what they absolutely have to use to make sure that they're maintaining that viability of that crop so that they can take that crop to market. And
that makes a lot of sense.
They also follow very stringent regulations. There are only certain products that they can use on certain different varieties of fruit trees, and they're not spraying things that will have any type of a pesticide residual within a certain period before harvest.
So when you have these,
everybody's careful. Everybody's playing by the rules.
So when you have these farms,
organic is considerably more expensive because of one thing. That is, their waste is a lot more than a farmer that can use a chemical application. They may only be able to harvest 30 or 40% of their crop, where somebody that's taking care of their trees in a more manageable fashion can maybe harvest 75 or 80 or 90% of their crop. So the big difference in price is really because of the amount of fruit that can be brought to market.
Gotcha.
Wow.
That makes sense. I never heard it put that way, but
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Very much.
So,
hey, I want to just go back real quick to the raised planters, if we could. And I heard you mention something about either an additive or a type of soil that you want to have in your raised planters to, get the best results. Can you review that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure, Mike. I think probably the key to any type of raised bed or mounded planting is drainage. You want to make sure that the soil is not staying soggy, wet, and spongy all the time. So, people are using, depending on where their raised beds are and what type of crop they're growing, they're using all kinds of different organic, humic acid products and mulch products and fine grind wood products to amend their soil with. So. Mm-hmm. Starting out with a good sandy soil and then using a mulch that is appropriate to the type of plant material you're using and amending that in or mixing that in. Or maybe even just using the mulch on the surface like we talked about earlier.
Okay.
So there are certain types of crops. If I'm going to grow citrus, for example, in a raised bed, I don't really need to amend that soil with a lot of organic product. If I have a good, fast-draining, sandy soil, I can plant directly into that and keep my mulch on the surface. If I'm going to grow blueberries, that's a different story. Blueberries require a very organic-based soil. So, my soil mix for blueberries in a raised bed would be 1/3 sand, 1/3 finely ground forest bark, or even a recycled type green waste, and 1/3 peat moss. And that's gonna keep my soil not only fast draining, but it's going to allow me to keep the soil conditions acidic, which blueberries require.
And
if you just dig a hole in your backyard and throw a blueberry out there, chances are it's going to be dead in about 6 to 8 months. They don't like our Southern California soils, and they don't like our water. So in order to be successful with things like blueberries, you have to amend that soil by at least 2/3 with organic material and PFAS, and then use a humic acid-based fertilizer to keep the acidic soil level up there.
Interesting.
So there's you really have to look at each individual plant and look at what you're growing and what the requirements are of that plant, and that's how you're going to judge the type of soil mix that you would use in your raised bed.
So if our listeners are interested and want to procure these, they can get them directly from you as well?
No, we're strictly wholesale.
Okay.
We have a very high minimum, so we don't sell direct to homeowners, but we do have on our website, in the home grower section, there's a listing of all of the retail nurseries that we sell to, and even mail order companies that we sell to all around the country. So they can go to our website, go to the backyard grower section. They can look at descriptions on all of the varieties that we're growing, all of the rootstocks that we're using, and they can find a retail source that's close to them.
Wow, that's a lot of great information. If you had not met Rob, I don't think I ever would have come across this information on my own. So that's an amazing website with a lot of information. And I don't know, have you published a book yet on all this information that you have at the top of your head?
Well, I'm a compromised writer. So what I do a lot of is just what I did with Rob when I met him down at the Chino Basin Water District. I do a lot of video work.
Oh.
So we actually did a video, which is one of over 150, I think, at this point, posted to our website down at the water event there in Chino Basin, and interviewed several people down there and looked at their garden down there, and there was about a 15-minute video on that event that is now posted to our website. So
cool.
Could you maybe
there are videos on all different aspects of fruit growing and using fruit, and visiting with horticultural collections like the UC Riverside Citrus Collection and the South Coast Research Station Avocado Collection and Persimmon Collections, and I just did one at UC Davis a couple weeks ago on their pomegranate collection up there. So we've got, like I said, about 150 different videos on all aspects of fruit growing and fruit culture, just to kind of help out people. And I'm a pretty simple guy, so I think the most important message that I can pass along to people is keep it simple. And I always like to do my videos in just very average, simple terms, so that everybody can comprehend it, everybody can understand it, and it's something that's easily doable for anybody that watches the video.
Maybe, if you're down near Riverside anytime, we'd love you to come over and see our community garden and maybe give our guys some, because it's just all the employees who go out there and spend their time to help grow the vegetables. We give them, as I said, to different charities. We give them to the school districts, so they use them for lunches, for salads and things for the kids. But that would be really interesting to, have you come down and take a look at what we're doing on that, and we can show you some of the latest in irrigation things, which you probably already know, but we have some unique things that might be of interest to you as well.
That's very cool. I would love the opportunity to do that, Rob. I'm in Riverside every couple of weeks. I'm actually on the board of directors of the Citrus State Historic Park out on Van Buren, so we have a board meeting out there once a month, and I'm out there quite a bit. Have a lot of customers in the Riverside area that are very, very good retail nursery professionals that I deal with on a regular basis. So. Let's hook up next time I'm out there. I'd love to come by and see what you guys are doing.
I've got a quick question for you on your commercial growers of citrus trees. I'm sure you've been out to their orchards, and is there a typical irrigation system that's preferred by citrus growers, or do you see a variety of either overhead sprinklers or drip or micro sprays, that kind of thing?
Or what do you do at your nurseries when you
Well, our nursery, actually, we use two different types of irrigation at the nursery. We run a drip tape, but since we're growing in ground, we don't grow much in containers. It's all field grown material that's dug as bare root and shipped as bare root in the winter. So we run a drip tape when we plant our seeds or seedlings out, or when we plant our rootstocks out, and then we also have an overhead system that we run about every 10 days. And really, the overhead system is there not only for irrigation, it's there for mite suppression. We've had a big problem up in the Central Valley with all the almond growers up there with spider mites. So by running an overhead irrigation system about every 10 days, we can pretty much eliminate any spraying that we would have to do for mite, because that cool water every 10 or 8 or 10 or 9 days will break the reproductive cycle of the spider mites.
Oh, really?
And they don't colonize on the trees.
Well,
so we use that dual system.
Can you use...
Now, most of the commercial growers that I'm dealing with now are using a kind of those little spinner system, where they have a spinner head that'll throw out a pattern about 6 feet wide or 8 feet wide, and that seems to be the most economical way to irrigate nowadays. Everybody used to all flood irrigate, so they were trying to plant on flat ground and run furrows and flood irrigate, but that uses so much water. It's such a waste of water. I don't know of anybody that flood irrigates anymore. Everybody's pretty much converted over to drip systems or spinner systems.
Well, just so you know, and our listeners, once a month we're going to be featuring our micro irrigation ag division to come on, and they do a show, and maybe you can listen in on that. It might be of interest to you. But anyway, we're going to let you go, and we do appreciate...
Can I ask one last question? I mean, we have such an expert, or no?
Absolutely. We got him, but we don't want to let him go.
So, what do they call them? Yard-long green beans, aphids. Do you have any suggestion to combat aphids?
Well, I'll tell you what, my most effective control is
ladybugs,
aphid or mealybugs or brown scale or things like that is my hose and a high-pressure nozzle. If you just go through and do a good cleaning of your plants and trees about once every 10 days or 2 weeks, you can pretty much eliminate almost all of those issues. And you know what? It's completely organic. You're not using any pesticides or chemicals on the plant, and you can with high pressure water and a little high pressure nozzle, you can physically remove 90-95% of any issues that you have without ever putting a pesticide on the plant.
Yeah, we were out there with soapy water, like with a little cloth, we got 10,000 leaves to go. Anyway.
That's a lot of work to do with a little trigger spray bottle and soapy water. That works too, but it's just a matter of how much time do you want to spend
exactly,
out there
exactly. Well, hey, thank you so much. You've been just a wealth of knowledge and information, and I know I sure appreciated all the information you've provided, and I want to once again just remind everyone that much of this great information is available on the website, which is
www.davewilson.com.
Yeah.
Excellent. We appreciate that, Tom. Thanks. We really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Hey, guys, thanks for the opportunity. It's been my pleasure.
You're very welcome.
Take care.
Thanks. Oh, wow, that's really interesting.
Man, I was just tasting the juicy tomatoes and apricots, and I mean, this really is kind of a whole new arena. I mean, I'd never heard of planting 4 different kinds of peaches in one hole. And they say it's like a 4 by 4 foot hole. My wife can dig that probably in an hour, and
for the tree or getting rid of you?
Yeah, that's
For
right.
me, my wife would get rid of me.
So. Lay down there. Let me see if you fit in that hole.
Is it deep enough? Get in there and see if it's deep enough.
But no, it's really, really fascinating. So that was a great resource.
And today a lot of people are starting to have their own home gardens and things because food's getting expensive, and it's something for them to do. You go to the movies with your kids, you spend like $75. Just for the popcorn and the drinks, the candy.
Not to mention the
not the movie,
That's the cheap part of it now. It's just a enticement to come in and buy the popcorn. But I don't know. I think they put some type of magic ingredient in that popcorn because you get addicted to it.
Are you allowed to bring your own? I know when I was younger, there used to be a store next door, not here, but way back on the East Coast, but you could go in and buy a box of popcorn and just bring it in. But I guess today they got you there. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that'll do it for today's show. And Mike, I don't know what else to say. It was a fun show. Went quick and learned a lot of stuff.
It was really fun. And
next week we're broadcasting live from the Irrigation Association at Long Beach Convention Center. So stay tuned to that. We're going to have some pretty good people on the show from that. And we wish everybody a nice weekend and start a vegetable garden.
Absolutely, or plant those fruit trees. And remember the difference between rootstock and that other thing he mentioned, cultivars.
Sounds like Darth Vader's
Variety,
brother.
yes.
Have a good weekend, people.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Call the dogs and put out the fire. This is Baxter Black with a little peek at the Outfitter's Jerky. What holds the loaded 30,000-pound trailer to the heavy-duty truck? What holds a 38-foot RV trailer to